Hi, I'm meteorologist Kris Kuyper. Boy, what a week it turned out to be for us here in California. All kinds of rain in the valley here out of the storm system, and a very snowy time of it in the Sierra Nevada out of a powerhouse of a storm system, which initially first brought us a whole bunch of rain just coming on in, and then various waves of cold air from the Gulf of Alaska kept pumping the moisture on in through the course of the rest of the week. And boy, those rainfall totals really piled up in the valley, and there was all kinds of snow in the mountains. We hadn't really seen much rain so far in the year 2026. January was pretty dry. February is pretty dry as well, and that all changed this past week. Rainfall totals just Monday through Thursday here across California, including almost 3.5 inches of rain in San Francisco, 2 inches of rain in Santa Barbara, 2.8 in Los Angeles. Boy, look at some of the Central Coast areas here towards Big Sur. Big Sur itself, 8 inches of rain. A little place called Whale Rock, 10 1/3 inches of rain. Wow, very impressive totals there on the coastline and other places as well. Hey, let's go into the San Joaquin Valley. Some pretty good totals there also. 2.42 inches of rain fell in Reedley, Fresno at the Fresno Yosemite Airport. Over 2 inches of rain, a little under 2 inches, about 1 1/3 fell at Fresno Chandler. A bit of a discrepancy there as you get a little further to the west. It dries out a little bit, like Naval Air Station Lemoore, under 1 inch of rain there. But then you get to the foothills where we had mostly rain, although there was some snow late in the afternoon there on Thursday at Oakhurst. 4.88 inches of liquid there, and 4.91 inches of liquid in Mariposa as well. A little further up the road there from these two places, Yosemite got all kinds of snow. Yosemite Valley was blanketed in snow, and snow certainly in the mountains also. And take a look at what happened on Friday afternoon in the mountains there around Yosemite. Yeah, an avalanche there in Yosemite, above the Yosemite Valley. Again, this is why Yosemite has been closed for the past few days here. So has Sequoia National Park, and so has Kings Canyon National Park as well, because of all the snow on the mountains, and it's fresh and it's new, and well, it's having a difficult time sticking to the mountains. And there you see, there's an avalanche on Friday. Nobody was injured or anything like that, but there's an avalanche on Friday in just above the Yosemite Valley. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the snow that we got in the mountains. We already saw how much rain we got in the lower elevations. Snow in the mountains, impressive to say the least. Here's a general look at central and northern California. You see a 60 number right here. That 60 is from our own China Peak, reporting anywhere from 60 to 72 inches of snow there. And then you see some of these totals a little further to the north. 97 inches storm total here at Bear Valley Ski Resort. And then we have a 92-inch total here coming in from, that's from Dodge. The first one is from Dodge Ridge. And I have a 91, that's from Kirkwood Ski Resort. And then if we get a little closer up here towards North Lake Tahoe, and you see some of these big numbers here, if we get a little closer up here, and see a 105, that's right about there at Donner Summit. In fact, that is Donner Summit, Old Sugar Bowl Ski Resort. Oh, great place to ski. This one right here, 111 inches of snow. My gosh, that's a lot of snow. That was from the Central Sierra Snow Lab. It's run by UC Berkeley, and those guys do everything by the book, and these are official numbers and whatnot. 111 inches of snow in 120 hours there. Very impressive. That's a lot of snow, obviously. And take a look how it plots out here. We take a look at that location there, the Central Sierra Snow Lab, up there at the Donner Summit. And it's a time graph here. And look at how in January, early January, we were at this point, and then nothing happened. All the way there for about 6 weeks. And it was just dry, and we enjoyed some nice weather, I suppose, kind of foggy in the valley. And then all of a sudden here early this week, you see that spike here from a snow depth of about 27, 26 inches to the finish there, about 96 inches of snow there or so. So all that piled up in just the course of about 4 days or so. Boy, do the math there, it's about 70 inches of snow. It compacts a little bit, but still a lot of snow piled up there in just 4 days. And so you have that, well, you have a difference in layers there. We'll get a little more on that. Let's talk a little bit about the terrible avalanche that happened there near Donner Summit earlier on this week as well. And this happened as the backcountry skiers were hiking to a little place just a little bit north of Donner Summit called Frog Lake. And here's Frog Lake, and then here's Donner Summit on this map right here. And the normal route takes them through this little notch there in the mountains. But as we look at what the backcountry skiers reported, they kind of looked like they took a little bit of a north route around the notch, which is good because that notch was an area of very high avalanche danger. They went to a little place here, just a little bit to the northwest of this mountain called Perry's Point. If we look at it here on a Google map, here's Donner Summit right here, and then here's Frog Lake, and then so let's get a little closer up here on it. Let me get a little closer, get a lot closer if we can, and we'll get a little closer still. And you see these big cliffs on this side of it. They tried to go around it, and they got this unfortunately, they got caught in the avalanche on the backside of this mountain here. Still very steep conditions out in that area. This avalanche turned out to be, unfortunately, the worst avalanche ever as far as fatalities is concerned in California's history. It turns out to be the second worst in modern history for us, behind the avalanche in 1981 in Mount Rainier, Washington, which killed 11 people, unfortunately, due to an ice avalanche there. There were 2 other avalanches back in much older times there. There was an avalanche in Alaska during the Klondike Gold Rush in 1898. That one, unfortunately, wiped out 60 people or so. And then there was an avalanche around 1910 in Washington State in the mountains up there, and that one unfortunately killed a little over 100 people as the trains were sitting on sitting on the track waiting to go the next day to the destination, and unfortunately they got caught in a very terrible avalanche there. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about avalanches here. Let's go back to the weather computer here and let me show you a little about the snow situation there in the mountains. And what they were dealing with was different layers of snow. All snow is not created equal. Sometimes the warm snow is heavy, the cold snow is dry. This snow has been sitting around. Again, we were dry for so long there in January, and so that snow had a chance to melt and then freeze, and then melt and freeze a little bit in the course of the day and the afternoons there or so, and it got really hard and crusty, and then we got the new snow on top of it. And right before we had the big snow, back on Saturday, I believe it was, we had a little bit of snow as well. And this picture was taken on Sunday as some climbers took a little snow survey, if you will, of the snow around Donner Summit. And check this out here, right here. That's a little a different layer of snow. This is the top fresh snow that happened here on Sunday and such, before the big snow happened on top of that. And here's the old crusty snow. It's been there since November and December and January. It's just been getting hard and compact, and it doesn't really bond well to the new snow. We had something called hoarfrost, and here it looks beautiful like that, but it's kind of like ball bearings. And so you get that new snow on top of it, and it just wants to slide right off. And then unfortunately you get the wind going. That could also help push it off. You get these cornices creating ledges on some of the mountains. And so again, when the new snow falls and you have a lot of new snow on top of a firm snowpack like we had there, it's always a good idea just to give the mountains a chance, a few days off, just to kind of relax and let them kind of naturally release those avalanches, as they do quite often naturally in the mountains. And then after a few days, then go out and go have your fun in the mountains, and things look a lot more stable up there. And for the record here, so the ski areas, they take care of that themselves. They do their avalanche mitigation by themselves, and so it's fine to go skiing in the ski areas for the most part. It's just once you get outside of those controlled areas where you find a lot more dangerous conditions in the mountains, unfortunately, like we found earlier this week.